Alright everyone, we start off today talking about politics, of course. Can Trump usher in a winning dynasty? That is the idea that Donald Trump has transformed the GOP. Link in the description, archived of course, you can read that if you want. Talking about, establishing a new bedrock for the GOP. That the old neocons, they're pretty much on their way out. They need to be replaced by something, quite clearly. Half of them are on death's doorstep at any given time because we've got a gerontocracy anyway. Trump may be on the older side, but he represents new ideas. Really, it's new old when you think about it. It's a soft reset of the GOP's policies to more of the Reagan standard as opposed to the bastardization of GOP politics thereafter with globalists like Mitt Romney, the Bushes, etc., people who can't win elections. And the idea is that with that new sort of energy within the party, if Trump wins re-election, he only gets one more term. If he loses, he's not going to run again. That's quite clear. He wouldn't be able to do a third time. But it has fundamentally transformed the party. Somebody else is going to have to take up the mantle, win or lose. By the way, if he loses, the GOP will do everything that it can to regress back to the neocon standards of like the Bush era, with all of the world policing, the top-down economics, the hierarchical, very authoritarian policies that they pursued, getting back away from Trump populism, which I think would be a negative thing. I am not a Republican. Let's put that first and foremost for anyone new to the channel or hasn't heard me say that before. I've never been a Republican. I'll probably never be a Republican. I don't really like partisan politics anyway, to begin with, but the Republicans have for a long time been the party of war and of losers. That is, that their job is, if they win, start a war. If they lose, bow down solemnly and say, well, these liberal policies in the end won't be too bad, because they're all globalists. They're part of the uniparty. Trump is clearly outside of that unipartyist club. When the 2016 election happened, I think that basically with a wink and a nudge, he insinuated this is all a joke. This is to sell books and to sell steaks and stuff. Don't worry, I'm a donor classer. I know my place, so to speak. I know I'm not supposed to seriously run. By Super Tuesday, though, these people, alarm bells were going off in their head, and they said, oh shit, he's not actually unserious about this. He actually intends to win. Well, he's a good Republican. You're not supposed to win. That's basically their ethos. If you hand them a victory, they'll do everything they can to sabotage it, by the way. Even some of the MAGA Republicans get involved with this. They're trying to kick out Speaker Johnson to the point where the Democrats are rising up to defend the bastard, and it just makes no sense. Republicans are good at losing. They're good at losing even when you hand them a victory. Donald Trump prefers to be a winner. He likes to win. Partially for egotistical purposes. I mean, I see his policy wins as good for the United States, and I do believe, actually, some of the liberal commentators early on who said, well, he just wants to be loved. I agree with you. He thinks the way to do that is to deliver for the American people. It is to feed his ego, but he still wants to do a good job. He wants to be remembered as a good president. I remember him as one already. Not perfect, but definitely good. Compared to what we've gotten since first-term Reagan, Donald Trump is the superior politician that we've had since then. It's been a while since we had a president that actually delivered on some promises, actually walked the walk. He was repeatedly cock-blocked on Obamacare, on border funding, on diplomacy. Few people still remember the story when the Syrian envoy was disclosed as having lied to Donald Trump directly about the troop totals in Syria, for example, which should have resulted in a treason charge, but I think he skated. I think he's probably still working for the government at this time. Trump is going to have to run a tighter ship in term 2. I believe the answer is yes. Trump can usher in a winning dynasty. One thing you don't want to do, though, is to make it a family dynasty. You do not want nepotism. While I like Don Jr., and I like Eric Trump, and while memes about Baron Trump becoming Lord Emperor or something like that are very funny, and his family is respectable, I like them, especially Don Jr., he's a fucking meme lord. He's like a core meme lord on the internet. And by the way, I don't care if he snorts coke. Some people are saying that he does. I don't see the problem with this myself because the drug war is a failure anyway. And Mitch McConnell had millions of dollars of cocaine seized on his yacht, and no answers were ever given to the questions that we had about that one. So I'm not going to be a hypocrite here. While I like the family, And it would be fun to see, you know, Baron Trump, President of the United States, and we might very well see something like that. It is possible. If Trump does really well in his second term, there could be some coattail riding down the merry primrose path, so to speak. I think that it would be better to have an ideological dynasty. That is, that people that are roughly in line with MAGA populism or something akin to it should take up the banner of the GOP and continue to reform the party. The reforming is not over. There's still a lot of McConnells and Romneys in the party. A lot of them are exiting stage left at the moment. I think that's good. It's going to have to become more of a permanently populistic party, at least for the next few decades. We're going to need that, because we need to reform away from the world policing globalism that's strangulating our economy, strangulating the entirety of Western civilization. That is necessary. It's not a request, it's more of a demand. We need that. It's not just a desire, it's something our nation desperately needs if we don't want to go Byzantium mode. And we all know what happens when the Roman Empire starts to collapse. Things get a little bit dicey for other people around the world now, don't they? It's almost like when you throw away order that you've created and you allow it to turn to chaos, bad things happen. Who'd have thunk it? I think it should be an ideological dynasty. My desire would be that Donald Trump gets a second term, do your thing, preferably seal the border as much as you can, scale back the United States' antagonistic current diplomacy, which makes absolutely no sense, the world policing, waving your big stick around and making threats and then not following through with them. Go back to the Trump-style diplomacy. Speak softly and carry a big stick. Attempt to get some of these wars out of the way that are breaking out all over the world. Try to tamp down on those. And then mint somebody else, but it should not be a family member. It's just like with the Clintons. Some liberals are like, well, Bill was such a great president. I'm sure Hillary will be a good one. They overlooked her ideology, though. Donald Trump's ideology is not necessarily going to be identical to the ideology of any family member, by the way, that may run. I would prefer Rand Paul take up the banner in 28. That's my preference. If it's DeSantis, as long as he's doing a good job, he's now a surrogate for the Trump campaign, I would accept that. I know that there are some Trump fans out there who are like, oh, I'm done with that high heel wear. No. Don't think about it that way. That's all political theater when they insult each other. I mean, doesn't Donald do the same thing? He's literally known for mean tweets. You're going to have to get past that. That's politics. It's the way that it works. A dynasty, but not a family dynasty, is what I would argue for. Can he do that? Yeah, absolutely. If he does a good job in his second term, he will be able to effectively handpick a successor that can carry on the same ideological policies. To put the genie back in the bottle with Bidenomics and the open border and all of the chaos we're currently seeing in the United States is going to take more than another 4-year term. It's going to take another couple of presidencies after that. The mainline Republicans cannot be relied upon to deliver wins in those elections. They simply can't. Even if you overlook their neocon globalist uniparty ideology, they're just the party of losers, or they have been until recently. And some of them stubbornly stick to that. You look at, again, Mitt Romney or John Cornyn, some of these other moron sellouts. They lose for people. You're reliant sometimes right now on the Supreme Court to reverse bad legal decisions and cock-block the Biden admin's persistent attacks on the Second Amendment, persistent attacks on equality, persistent attacks on upward mobility, etc., etc. The Supreme Court right now, thanks to Trump, by the way, I would point out, is successfully dampening down on the Biden administration's worst excesses. Congress is incapable of doing so. The congressional Republicans are a joke at the moment. There are a handful of them that are doing well, and those are the ones that are going to get denied funding by the RNC. By the way, they will try to cock-block Trump in Congress again as well in his next 4-year term, should he get one, which I suspect he will. Based on recent polling, there's a trajectory there. It's pretty crystal clear. I think that we should have a populistic dynasty. A successful number of presidents in a row. Probably you'd have 4 more terms that you would need to undo just the damage from Biden's single term. It's going to take a while. Rome was not built in a day. Let's hope that the Roman Empire this time doesn't fracture into a million pieces. That's about all. Peace out.